Is everyone ready now? Shall we make a start? As we did last time, each person will do one verse. I will start with mentioning names that haven't read last time. And then we can do verse each and discuss. And I will start according to the list which I have. So first verse is Salwa, please. Followed by Nirmin, please. Third verse for Krolos, please. Fourth verse is Angelus. What comes after Angelus is Alexander from France. And I understand Natalie is working. She will not be able to talk. Is that correct?
هيبقى النهارده هقرا ان شاء الله اخدت اللانش.
خلاص انت بعد الكسندر بعد اذنك. انا نسيته which number غالبا تبقي 6 او 7 حاجه كده. We will be reading, reflecting if we have any linguistic sort of observation, interesting about translation, interesting points about translation, comparing to English or to Arabic translation, Coptic translation, which one is close to Greek, or if we have any observation regarding translation, regarding linguistic sort of interesting stuff, observation. If the translation would raise any theological significance. These type of questions, really. Just before we start doing the first verse, I'll say a couple of quick things regarding the Gospel of St. John. Gospel of St. John, there's an internal evidence tells us from the Gospel itself, from the text, that the Gospel was written after the 80s of 1st century. Now the scholars were arguing because of the theology of the fourth Gospel, the Gospel of St. John is advanced compared to the 3 other synoptic Gospels. So they said this Gospel was written late, at least second half of 2nd century, maybe 3rd century. And that argument remained for a while until it was discovered in south of Egypt, Said, a papyrus called P52 has fragments from Gospel of St. John, chapter 18. I think they are 17 or 18 verses, something like this. And it was dated the year 130 AD. So if we allow some time for the Gospel to be known in Egypt, to be translated from Greek to Coptic, I'm not sure whether the papyrus was in Greek or Coptic, to be honest, I can't remember. But just allowed some time to be transferred from Asia Minor, where it was written, the Gospel, to Egypt. So we say 20, 30 years. So we're talking about here the range of between 80s of 1st century to 110 maximum, which fits very well the lifetime of St. John the Beloved. So that papyrus tells us that the author, in an indirect way, that it is actually St. John the Beloved. He's the one who wrote it. It fits his timeline. And that is the first observation. Second observation, second thing briefly, the first 18 verses, we read them in Gospel of Becker, early hour in the morning, but English, prime prayer. And it is introductory part for the Gospel. The scholars, Bible scholars, consider it as a piece of hymn. It has in Greek some poetic features. We might feel some of it while you are reading it in Coptic, we might not. This is one of the things that I wish to consider while I'm reading with you in Coptic. However, the scholars, they didn't say it's fully poetic. They notice it is a mingling between prose and poem. So there's a poetic part and there's sort of prose inside it. They are mingled together. Why do we believe, why did the scholars believe that? Maybe if we have time, I don't want to waste the time talking about the scholarly stuff now. We can do more reading of Coptic. But if we have a chance while we are reading the Coptic, I would mention a few points, what makes the scholars think that this a hymn introduction to the gospel. Now I forgot who is going to start, who is after whom. So please, the person who is meant to start the first verse, please go ahead.
Okay. Genet arshi ne ipsaji pe. O pisaji nafki khaten ifnoti. O ne ifnu unoti pe pisaji.
Thank you, Salwa. Yalla, can you do analysis?
Okay, right. In Gen is in. It arshi is the beginning.
Correct.
ني بيساجي ساجي اللي هو الكلام أو يتكلم فإبساجي يعني the word.
Correct.
Be is the فعل الكينونة or the be, the verb to be.
Correct.
In the beginning it was the world or the word was. And بيساجي and the word نفكي خاتن إفنوتي يعني بيساجي Khaten is with, and Ifnoti is God. Uwuhni unoti pe pisaji. And and God was, or pe is again verb to be, pisaji was the word.
Can you render the last close piece? Uwuhni unoti pe pisaji again, please?
Uwu is and. To join the sentence. Ne unoti pe pisaji. فده لأنها في past tense فهي ne pe that's لأنها في past tense يعني was with the word
no,
was God.
My question is regarding onoti. Can you analyze that word, please?
Right.
What's the difference between onoti in the third part of the sentence and ifnoti?
Ifnoti is the F is the definite articles, whereas unoti is God, as in it's the nakra اللي هي indefinite article.
Well done. Very good point. Thank you, Sarah. You've done a great job here. Let me ask you.
I learned it in Arabic and I'm trying to say it in English, so I'm just trying to concentrate to say it in the English rather than just Arabic.
Yeah, well done. That's correct. I do the same anyway. I ask you or anybody else who would like to answer this. In the first clause, we find ne. Third word, Khenet arshi ne. What is ne? And again, in the third clause, we find another ne. Awwah ne. Onoti pe pisaji. Is there Salo or anybody else would like to step in and answer the question? Magid, please go ahead.
Ne, it's an article for complex tense. That means it's when it comes with simple present tense, it converted to first past tense, first perfect tense. And when it goes with first perfect tense, it goes to one step before, like it's الأتم, الماضي الأتم.
But let me share. Can you see this picture? Is that clear for everyone?
No, we only see the Injil.
The reading.
What can you see now?
Only the gospel.
The gospel. Okay, just let me then stop share screen. Let me. خليني أعمل كده. So what can you see now?
Still the gospel.
Is
no,
it?
we can see something else now. No, we can see something else.
This is a picture from a dictionary. I'm afraid Krollos, Emil, and Alexander, this is Coptic Arabic dictionary. I'm sorry. I didn't get the English one. But just to help the Magid and everyone who reads Arabic, you can find ne here. What is ne? It's written. And Somebody can read it in Arabic and translate it to English, please. This is a dictionary.
Can, which means was,
Thank you, Dr.
or
Medhat.
has been, or had
Mhm.
been, has been.
So this is according to Qamus Ma'awad, what is ne. And it is an observation for me because I was confused with this. It comes with the verb to be, which is pay. And even here in the example, you see, في الجمل الفعلية, actually, which line? Yeah, second line after ne af sof be. You see? And again, skip the third one, fourth line, ne et efrope. So it comes with verb to be as well. So this is ne. It's just one interesting observation about this.
I thought it was just meant make it into instead of is it becomes was, but it seems to be Magid. Maybe I don't know if you can share with us where you got the info from, Magid, that it just changed it from.
Abouna, if you can just allow me to share. I don't know.
مش عارف how to do it, Magid. انت are you
Just
allowed?
give me a co-host.
And I will lose myself as a host
لا
if I do
لا
this.
co-host, not a host.
Hi, Habibi.
Chat, ask start video, please pin, make host, not co-hosts.
No, مفيش co-host.
Sorry. بص, send it to us.
Abouna, you can, from the security setting icon, you can allow sharing.
Just bear with me a second. Security was more. Right name.
You can send it on WhatsApp.
I think send it to us on WhatsApp or chat أحسن. أنا مش عارف. I'm struggling with this. Sorry.
أبونا ممكن أقول حاجة. الدكتور نبيل كان قال لنا sometimes pay when it comes at the end of the sentence. It doesn't really. It's an accessory kind of. Doesn't always have a meaning. Although it's verb to be, but it's sometimes when it's the end of the sentence, you find pay. You'll find it a lot. And he said it doesn't have.
You mean Dr. Nabil Ishaq?
Dr. Nabil Ishaq.
Thank you for this. So يعني I agree. طبعا هو Dr. Nabil is my teacher, فيعني I cannot argue. Just let me go to another word. Second line, Pisaji nafke khatin ifnoti. What is nafke? Can anybody interpret the tense here and personal number? ضمير ايه؟
متهيألي ناف الجاية من الفعل الماضي المستمر اللي هو continuous imperfect.
Well done, Nermeen. That's correct. And what personal number? الضمير ايه؟
ناف اللي هو يعني he.
Correct.
He.
Third person singular. He. He was. That was good. Thank you for sharing this, Magid. I think it's better we'll read it at time of our ease أحسن من sharing. Or if you can point to what page as well, it would be a good idea. Thank you. Type just one. We're not one more. Two more things before we move to second verse. Chenet arshi pei pisaji pei. In the beginning was God. It was the word. Here choose Psaji, which is a Coptic alternative of which word in Greek? It's in Greek and we use it in English and even known in Arabic as well.
Logos.
Logos.
Correct, logos. Again, I ask a question which I don't know the answer. Why the Coptic interpreter choose to do it in Coptic, not in Greek? Especially logos has a theological significance. I don't know the answer. Something to think about, and if you have an answer, please go ahead. Last time when we were reading Psalm 1, we found the interpreter very keen to keep as much Greek words as possible. But here, a Greek word which has a theological significance, the interpreter was happy to find the Coptic alternative. Why? I don't know the answer, but something to think about, and you might provide us some good answers. Let me trick you before leaving verse 1. معلش, and I know we have spent some time in verse 1, and probably those who are waiting for their turns will be upset. But just one more thing to finish this. The last clause of the first verse, Awone onoti pepisagi. Here, onoti is indefinite article. So a God is the word. Jehovah's Witnesses, they said that means that the Logos, the Son of God, is inferior than God, because he didn't say, the author didn't say, the word was the God. It says, the word was a God. Can anybody have an answer to this? It's not a Coptic now, it's a little bit of theology, but I can have a quick answer. But let you think a little bit.
Can I say?
Yes, please.
In English, the word was with God, implying that it's only one God. There is no a God. I know that in the Coptic onoti, but it means like when we say زي ما قلنا قبل كده, when we said خنفران فنوتي onoti on oot, I mean onoti meaning not a God, it means one and only God.
Thank you, Dr.
But
Madhabas. Even in Greek, it's a God. So if you find this interpretation Coptic in Greek, it's theos. Theos is that ho theos. Ho is the definite article. So there's a missing here the article. So still the problem there.
Yeah, but what I mean, it implies when you say, even if it's indefinite, but because there is no other, so it means that the word, if you look at the English translation, you'll find it God with. And we never say the God. You never say in English, for example, the God. You say just God.
In English and Arabic, it does not appear because it's a God with capital G. So it's, yeah, you're correct. And in Arabic, it's Allah. You don't have that Allah, يعني, أو إله.
No, Allah is definite, because it's the other one is ilah.
Exactly.
Allah alif ulam, fi alif ulam, فهي the God, if you like.
That's
Allah.
correct. هو Coptic interpreter here translated literally from Greek. It's in Greek, it's a God or ilah. Maybe it doesn't appear in English and Arabic. And Jehovah's Witnesses have a valid point. However, we can respond to this in two ways. Firstly, the Gospel of St. John speaks about God the Son as the God. That is, when Thomas touched the side of the Lord after resurrection, he said, Ho theosmo, my the God, with indefinite article. This is an answer. You shouldn't take a one clause of a verse and make an assumption with it, make a dogma with it, because we have another places where the Son had the indefinite article. That's the first thing. Secondly, God the Father, and just let me get you the references. God the Father in Romans 1:7 and Philippians 2:6 and 11 was called without the indefinite article. So even the Father, God, was without the article. So we shouldn't make a theological assumption or teaching based on just one single sentence. We need to have a whole understanding of the gospel of the whole New Testament. It's not that nothing to do with Coptic, but just because we come across it, I thought to mention it.
All right. I'm sorry I got disconnected, so I listened to the recording to listen to the bit I missed.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you.
Shall we now move to verse 2, please?
Vai e nafki إسجن هي خاتين ابنوتي.
Mhm.
Why mean this?
Mhm.
إيه نفكي كان موجود or he was.
Mhm.
إسجن إسجن هي I don't know بصراحة مش عاوزة ألخبط. لا
Since منذ
I will try my best. I don't know everything, but what I know I will say. What I didn't know I don't know actually. So
No
I
worries.
don't know but يعني أعتقد إسجن هي اللي هي beginning, but I don't know.
Mhm.
خاتين ابنوتي means God. خاتين عند
You've done great job, Nermeen, definitely. Apart
I'm
from
really
the word
sorry.
يسجن.
I'm really sorry, Abouna, I don't know.
لا, it's okay. You've done great job, definitely. Can anybody else help Nermeen with يسجن? What does يسجن mean? The third word in the second verse. Since. You know, في القداس when we say يسجن تين ونمشائني from or since the from now until forever. منذ الآن وإلى الأبد آمين. Or this another one يسجن جوء جوء اللي هي بتاعت كما كان وهكذا يكون. What is it? From generation to generation. من جيل إلى جيل. Again يسجن.
As it was from generation to
So again يسجن since or from. As correctly Dr. Medhat mentioned. Nermeen, you said this in verse 1, but just let me repeat it again in verse 2. Enough key, what is the tense and person number?
Enough key, enough means in the continuous imperfect tense for he.
That's correct. Thank you. Before leaving verse 1 and 2, let me again make a scholarly sort of linguistic observation about first couple of verses. The ancient writer didn't use punctuation marks. So you don't have full stop, comma, open bracket, close bracket, things like that. So how would the reader would understand that we finished an idea and we're starting another idea? The author, while he's writing, he puts a summary of his idea to finish the idea. He said, at the beginning was the word was with God, and the word was God, and then to put a summary for his idea, to move for another idea, say, this at the beginning was with God or at God. It's called the chiastic form. And it is meant to summarize and to finish an idea and to start another point, because there's, again, no punctuation mark. And this is important in several levels. It might prove the unity of the author. Yani, the one who wrote verse 1 is exactly the same one who wrote verse 2. Maybe here it's obvious because two verses next to each other. But it might answer some harder question. Yani, in book of Genesis, we have two accounts of creation. So it raises the story that the book of Genesis was written by two authors, not one. لا. If we understand the point of chiastic, you have a longer account of creation, took sort of chapter and a half, and then a shorter one for 2-3 verses, just to summarize what we have said early, so we can move to another topic.
Oh, interesting.
It is so. Now,
So, الكلمة بتاعت he, what is he mean?
good question. مين يحب to answer? What is he here? يسجن he خاطين في نوتي. Anybody can help?
Beginning.
Anybody have a different idea?
نقف ده الضمير بتاع هو في الماضي off.
No, we're not talking about of. I'm talking about he. يسجن he, the first word after he. I tell you something. Do you have access to the dictionary?
No.
Ah,
Yeah, I
Right.
got this from the dictionary. It means beginning.
he is beginning. Are you sure?
Bidaya.
Right. Okay. Thank you for this. And I didn't know the word, so that's why I wanted to check the dictionary. Right. Thank you, Dr. Medhat, for this. So shall we go for third verse, please? And I don't remember who is it, so please go ahead. Who is it?
Was it me?
Think Kyrillos?
I think yes. I think
Okay, please
okay.
go ahead. Please.
Hoop niveen afshopi evol hitot woh at shanouf mpe ihli shopi gen fiet afshopi. Hoop niveen all things afshopi came to exist. Evol hitot through him woh at shanouf, and without him mpe ihli shopi there existed nothing. Gen fiat fiat of shopi, in what existed, in that which existed.
Correct. Can you elaborate more on the last word, please?
Fiat of shopi, that which existed. Fiat is a relative converter of shopi. He made it come to exist. Shopi is to exist, I believe.
Yes. So V is like ism ishara is demonstrative pronoun. It is a lazy relative pronoun. Of is alpha is the sign for past tense, simple past tense or first past tense. Of that's the sign. Shopi again become, or it's like a genito in Greek. So this is correct. Magid would like to say something, please. Go ahead.
It of as one part together, it is the second perfect tense. So we are not splitting when it comes together. We are not splitting it and of, but it of as one part. It is the symbol for second perfect tense. So it's ماضي الأسبق لغيره أو السابق. اللي هو نقول
معلش say it again, Magid. Repeat this again, and I need to concentrate in this. معلش say it again.
يعني في okay في is ذلك. It الذي of is perfect past perfect, but it of together is the symbol for the second perfect tense, not the first perfect tense.
Is it? Okay.
So
It's new to me.
that's why we don't say it of. We say it off. We say it as one section. We don't say it off. We say it off.
But does it change the meaning, or is it still the same?
as if in Arabic you add the word قد. ذلك قد كان. يعني you are giving it something happened before what's coming next. What will be said next, things happen after that. So it gives two different timing.
If we put it before the of, I agree with Megan. If we put it before the of, it makes it converted to second past perfect. And instead of simple past tense, it becomes second past perfect.
Thank you for this, Aman. And just before leaving this third verse,
but as you said, Abouna, it means like simply who, like when we say in the praises, Fi'et of Samuel, for example. we use Fe'eta for a lot of verbs after it, which says who created, Fe'eta Misi, Fe'eta Thamio, Fe'eta.
Exactly, when we say Fe'eta Thamio in Itfin Mipkahi, who created heaven and earth. After that, we put another tense that comes after it. So that's why we give this in previous tense. It's both in the past.
You might be right, Magid. I need to look into your. You might be right. It's new to me, but and I take it a simple way, which Dr. Medhat take it. But you might be right. We need to check that. Well, that's a good thing about discussion. We learn things maybe you are not aware of. It raises our mind to think. But if you ask me, I would go with Dr. Medhat. Say, I think it's simply the one who is doing something. Before leaving verse 3 and moving to verse 4, one of the characters of poetic forms we find here is repeating the same thing, one in positive way and one in negative way. So everything was made by him and nothing was made without him. It's called parallelism. This is one way to find. Another way is called the staircase parallelism. So in the beginning was the Word was God, and God was a logos. Later on we find in him was life was light shone in darkness. Darkness could not comprehend it. It's like going a stair up. You see, this is called the staircase parallelism, sort of a poetic feature or something. So in the beginning was the Word, beginning, and then Word, and then was God, and God, Word again, and in him was life was light, and light shone in the darkness. Darkness could not comprehend. So this is one of the features why the scholars consider it has some sort of poetic sense. Now shall we move to verse 4, please? And the person who has the turn, please go ahead and answer it. Who is it?
أنا ne bonch be ete en hit owo e bonch ne if oini in Romi be. Ne means was bonch the life be. ete en hit في in his فيه يعني معناها هو and bonch ne the life was if oini means light. In Romi means man. دي بتاعت الجامعة يعني. if oini in Romi نور الناس يعني.
Thank you, Angelis. Can I ask you just to elaborate more, to speak more about inni Rom? What is the first nay? Second nay is, you said correctly, it is the article the for gamma, for plural. But what is the first nay for?
ان دي اللي هي مش عارف معناها بالانجلش، هي اللي هي الربط يعني.
الربط، برافو عليك، صح. ربط. طب ربط ايه؟ طب قولها بالعربي بقى وانا اترانزليتر ما يهمكش. اني رومي ربط ايه؟ يعني بالعربي بتسميها ايه؟ مفعول، مضاف اليه، فاعل كده، هتسميها ايه؟ يعني اللي جه بعد الان الاولانيه النيه دي تبقى ايه؟ اعربها ايه؟
لا مش عارف.
قلنا بعد
هي مضاف اليه. اتفضل.
كان في I think في level 2 قالوا ال N دي مختصر لإنتي. إنتي يعني حاجة بتاعت حاجة.
برافو، correct.
N هي abbreviation for إنتي.
Well done, Nermin. That's correct answer. Just to translate this to Emil and those who don't speak Arabic, and then we can go ahead with this question. So I asked what is the first nay in Inni Rumi, and Angelos correctly said it is a linking letter to genitive case. If Oini Inni Rumi, the light of man.
Of man.
So the first nay is of. for genitive case Niromi, and he said correctly definite article for plural nay, because so men, not one single man. So this is Magid's correct contribution. Thank you, Magid. Sorry, متأسف, Angelus. Sorry, and please, the one who's pushing, go ahead.
قلنا ني بأنخ or ني عموما is it plural, so is life is plural.
فين
again.
هنا قلنا لا
ني
بأنخ is not plural, is it?
No, ب هي بتاعت المفرد سنجل يعني
So
ني دي was.
Ni Romi لا to make it men instead of man.
no, I'm asking about the first word ني بأنخ.
No,
No.
ني
What is ne, Angelus? What is ne? The first word. No, ne is not for gamma. No.
ني was يعني ماضي.
Anna. The first word you mean, Natalie, صح?
Yes, يا بنا.
No, ne here is not for gamma. Ne is was. Again, I show you the picture from the dictionary. Where was it? Ne here, kana. Or maybe a trapped as well. Is that good? Let me go back to the, where are we? It's a good observation, يعني. Well done. This is ne ibonch PET in Giet او ibonch ne if oini in Romi P. I'll look at one interesting information as well. About the prologue of Gospel of St. John. You don't have to worry, just I'm giving you some interesting information. Again, we don't have punctuation mark. So can we read there's nothing in verse 4? Where does it end? Everything by him was made, and nothing without him was made. Full stop. Or shall we put the full stop? Everything was made by him, and nothing that has life in it has not been done without him. So shall we put the stop mark, full mark, full stop, excuse me, full stop after in him was life, and here him refers to everything that was not created without him, or in him, in Jesus, in the word. This was a point of theological, again. Did you get my point? First of all, and then explain it, the theological significance. يعني shall we put تاني كل شيء به كان. I said in Arabic first and then in English. كل شيء به كان وبغيره لم يكن شيء مما كان. ففي القرايه عشان ما فيش علامات نقطه في اليوناني في المخطوطه الاصليه، فقال لك نكمل الجمله لم يكن شيء مما كان فيه كانت الحياه. يعني اي حاجه فيها الحياه من غير ربنا ما كانتش موجود. حط فول ستوب هنا. This is one of the reading. I repeat this in English. One of the way to read it, because you don't have full stop in the original manuscript, says everything was made by him, and nothing without him was made which has life in it. Full stop. And this is the first part of verse 4. So where shall we put the full stop? طبعا يعني
I just feel that this is, I can understand what you're saying, Abouna, but somehow this is like this bit of creation. He created everything, and then we should stop. And then when we start talking, because if we stopped when we say anything which had life on it, and then we stop here, then the bit connecting the life to the light of the word would have been lost. The second part of verse 4 would not be linked to the bit afterwards.
You are a great biblical scholar, Sarah. Well done.
No, I'm not sure about that.
I mean, things like the mountains and, they don't have life, but it's created by God.
Correct, Dr. Medhat. The church fathers, after the Council of Nicaea, they decided to leave it زي ما سلوى قالت, just before in him was life, because the word is the source of life. So probably the heretics wanted to escape that fact. فقال لك نغير الفول ستوب. بس يعني احنا we have great theologian with us in the class. That's great, yeah. And actually, from linguistic point of view as well, it will change the staircase parallelism. Like everything was made by him, nothing without him was made, full stop. And this saying something and saying the opposite of it. And then we start in him was life, life was light, light shone in darkness, darkness could not comprehend. So again, from linguistic point of view as well, it will fit the poetic form. But thank you for this. Who is going to do verse 5, please?
I think it's me.
Please go ahead.
Hello everyone. Hello Abouna. Okay, so verse 5. Owoh pi uoini afer uoini gen pikaki. Owoh mp pikari tahof. So in English. Yeah.
Yes, please.
So and the light enlightened in the darkness, and the darkness couldn't reach it. So with my words.
Yes, this is very good,
Yeah.
very good translation, Alexander.
Okay,
Well
so I might give some tools for me. It's Owo is and, Oini is light. So we have after Oini, the A refers to the past tense. The phi refers to the third person, which is the light. And uoini is the light, and uoini transforms the noun into a verb, because means like to do or to become, I think. So uoini, you have other verbs which are made like this. I don't have examples in mind, but this is one of the examples. And then you have gen pikaki is so in the darkness. Kaki is I think the darkness. Owo mp is the negative form. And then you have tahof. Tahof I think is to reach something, or to in French we say attendre. I don't have the word in English, the exact words. So the phi at the end refers to refers to the light, which the darkness couldn't reach. So yeah, that's it for me.
Well done, Alexander. Thank you. You've said everything. I don't have question for you. Does anyone have any question for Alexander before leaving to next verse?
Tahof Abouna again, because I didn't know the French word.
Reach.
Reach.
Thank
عارفة لما يكون في سباق جري وحد ما حصلش حد؟ It's like that's tahof, when you're chasing someone and you could not hold the person.
Okay.
Who's next?
Anyone.
Please. اتفضلي.
Afshobi and J Oromi. A of O or ازاي دي مرافي إفولهتين إفنوتي إبفران بي يؤنس.
Well done.
أقول بقى Afshobi, he was in the past, he يكون in J I mean Oromi رجل man a man. A of or no, what is this? Evolhitin from, or like from within, من عندي يعني. Ifnoti, which is God. Befran, I don't know what is the E. Probably it's a that ربط إضافة. Befran, his name. B يكون is يؤنس يوحنا John.
Thank you, Natalie. Splendid.
بقى ال E of or
لا طب بس قبل ايه of orf دي I ask someone to help with this. But before that, what is NG? Second word. What did you say about it? What's NG?
It usually means I mean, or like هو قصدي فلان, which is أداة ربط برضه, مش عارفة. أنا عارفة إنها يا إما النقطتين اللي فوق بعد قال داوود NG قال إيه بقى؟ يا إما هو قصدي مين فلان, فهو قصدي فلان.
Is it in J? The one you're talking about is J, not in
Oh
J.
yeah, ده J صح
J
عندك حق.
اللي هي that اللي هي أنه بالعربي that is J, but in J is different. Can somebody help? First, let us start with NG. حد to help Natalie with what is NG stand for? إيه يعني إيه NG?
From.
I think it's
علامة الفاعل.
connecting when you have the verb and then the name, it's connecting.
In what way connecting?
هي أداة
Angelus.
الفاعل اللي هي يعني الفعل لما يجي الفاعل بعد الفاعل فهي تبقى في النص منه، فهي تبقى علامة الفاعل.
بصوا yes, the subject of the verb in Coptic should come first and then the verb come next to it. But if the verb comes first, then to connect, to know which one is the subject of the verb, then you put NG. For instance, I would say, because Natalie مثلا. Natalie أفغوس. Natalie spoke. لا أسغوس. Natalie spoke. But I can say أسغوس NG Natalie. Spoke Natalie. So I know that how I would know this the speaking person is Natalie. I put NG first. So if I put it first, Natalie, Asgos, Natalie spoke, that's fine. But if I say the verb first, speak first, spoke first, then I put NG to tell us that the subject of the verb is Natalie. So that is NG. However, Natalie's good question is not answered yet. What is EF or ORB? We need answer here.
Can I react?
Yes, please.
Just concerning NG, I think what Abouna said is 100%. I agree 100%. But I'd like to add something. I think that this form, which involves using NG, this is you will encounter a lot of this form in the Evangile, in the Gospel, sorry. And this I think I read about this in the grammar book, the French grammar book. It's called prolepse, I think, but I'm not sure of that one. And this is also used because when they translated from Greek, they wanted to keep the same order sometimes. So they would change the form in order to align with the Greek scriptures. I think I read about this, but I'm not sure 100%. So I don't want to say something wrong, but I think it's true. I have to find it because I read about it a long time ago. So, and for the of verb, I think this is the passive tense, which includes the subject, which it refers to, takes the epsilon here, regardless of who the subject is. So if it's third person, second person, it will always be the epsilon here because it's the passive tense, I think. So Eav Orb means that he was sent. So he was sent in English is the passive tense, is the passive form, sorry. And the phi at the end refers to the one who was sent, which is, I think, which is John. So correct me if I'm wrong. If someone think I'm wrong, you can correct me. It's fine.
You're correct, Alexander. Thank you for your input. Just I checked the Greek origin. No, it's not the same order. A man was sent. So
okay.
In Coptic, put it in a different way. It's not wrong. That's how the interpreter changed it.
Yeah,
but it's not the same.
Dr. Nabil can told us, yes, you can have the جملة فعلية where it starts with the verb, like you said, Abouna, and it then we put NG to link it to the person after, which is Urumi.
That's correct. Just one final thing I wish to come. I know Dr. Mithat has to go in 3 minutes, and I promise we'll finish before that. So just before finishing, I need to comment on one of the translation that Natalie. Natalie, how did you translate إيفول هيتين? Because I have different thought in my mind.
أنا قلت من عند، مش عارفة إزاي من عند بالإنجلش.
طب مش مهم من عند. Can you think of any better or different alternative translation to evil هيتين? Anybody? English or Arabic? We don't have time, so please go ahead.
out of يعني evil يعني out وهيتين almost like through زي ما بنقول هيتين بريزفاي فهي out of
Yeah.
when it's sent out from God.
Yeah,
Out
I have an
from
example. I agree with Dr. Medhat, and I have another example. In Coptic, the verse which says, "Aimuti epashiri evol chenkimi," which means I called my son out of Egypt. So evol chenkimi. So this makes also another translation.
Evil هيتين simply through بواسطة. And your contribution are all correct. Even Natalie, you said correctly. أنا من عندي مش وحش يعني it's correct. بس أنا I prefer to do بواسطة through. بس يعني I'm not against what you said. Magid, can you say the last word and then we can conclude عشان دكتور مدحت عنده another meeting. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm just saying for evil هيتين, even though they are originally two words, but after mixing خلاص they give one word. They are not we cannot split it together. يعني هو حرف جر مركب. It's a complex article. Okay, evil khan together it gives the meaning men from, and evil hidden together it gives the meaning through.
حتى الانتربريتيشن دكتور مدحت is still acceptable. بس أنا I agree with you 100% Magid. Before leaving, I know we are late.
بس هي of أوربف of هنا هي دي التنس الثيرد present tense which represent الدل على الحال.
الحال. second مش third.
فده هنا معناه هم. If we say this is for the plural absentees, that means هم أرسلوه. They send him. And in this case in Coptic means morsel, indirect.
Or passive voice.
Passive voice.
That's correct.
Either if we don't have the الفاعل نفسه as plural, that means it is indirect or passive tense. That means هنا هتبقى أرسل.
I see. I got
Thank you. I know we have to go now. Just make you aware that in UK time we'll have the clock changes next week. So next Sunday we have the clock changes. I'm not sure how would that affect you. You could find in your countries either it's 1 hour earlier, 1 hour later. أنا مش عارف. Just be aware of this and check the website for this next week. Thank you for this wonderful class. Except unless you have another commitments to do, I would have remained with you for longer. But thank you for all fabulous contributions. And next time we'll be doing the doxology of the Lent. If someone can put it in the comments, that will be very kind of anyone. تحطوا لنا على الكومنتس, we can just use it and prepare for it. If you don't, just search for it in the way you can find. Yalla, thank you for listening.
On Coptic Reader, if you go on the days, and you'll find it.
The Lent doxology, yes? The first one.
No, the Tinesteia in في القداس نفسه.
Yeah, I know.
On the days.
Yeah.
Okay,
you'll find
I'll extract it and I'll put
on
it
Coptic Reader, yeah.
Yes, please, Magid. We're very kind of you. خلاص.
We appreciate it, Magid. Thank you so much, Abouna. Thank you so much, Abouna.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and see you next week. Inshallah, ربنا عمر. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abouna. Thank you, everyone. Ugai.